Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents G.I. Joe Tuesday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 78, Tripwire, Apsara, and McCloud. Let's get into it! Let's start things off with a look at the packaging. And here we have on the top, here, 4 and up. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. The top flap here, G.I. Joe Classified Series, and of course the G.I. Joe and stripes are embossed. On the front, what appears to be nice digital renders of the accessories here. Nice practical picture of the figure and accessories. And then some artwork right here. G.I. Joe Classified Series. And again, the G.I. Joe and stripes are embossed, which does go around to the other side. G.I. Joe Tripwire, Apsara, and McCloud. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. And then G.I. Joe logo, Hasbro print on the bottom. Small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. On this side, we've got nice artwork of Tripwire, G.I. Joe Classified Series number 78. On the other side, G.I. Joe logo. Same artwork from the other side, just with this tint over it. Number 78. Here is the code that you can scan, and if you want to do that, there you go. And then there's his skill set. And of course, he's G.I. Joe. Then on the back side, number 78, G.I. Joe logo, G.I. Joe Tripwire, Apsara, and McCloud, mobile armored control lever for explosive ordnance disposal. I never would have guessed that. And then here we have some close-up of some of his details, and then a nice digital render of the figures and the accessories. And then again, here's his skill sets. Attention! Don't stick things in your French pie hole that do not belong there. Warning, attention, Octoon! Don't stick things in any other language pie hole that don't belong there. Don't give it to babies. Parents, GIJoe.com! More small, fine, legalese made in China print, assortment numbers. This symbol, I'm not going to learn. That symbol, I'm not going to learn. And Hasbro print. That, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And first up, we've got this hose, which is I like to call it the Dr. Mindbender hose, because he's the first character I know of that came with this particular piece. So if you've seen that, or you have that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the hose is like, it's got this ribbing pattern on it, and then it's got these connectors with ports on the end of it. Let's move it over here. Next up, we have his little rat pit. And you know, it's just a little static figure. It's got a little strap on it. I guess he could put a leash on it if he wanted to. And you know, it's painted up okay. You can tell what it's supposed to be. Little fat rat. Next up, we'll take the handy dandy tweezers so we can take a look at stuff. And next we have his Wii. Not his Wii, his Switch, his Nintendo Switch. Not really. It's the remote control for the McCloud robot. Is that his name? I think so. I think that's the robot name, is McCloud. And you know, it's molded in one colored plastic. It's got a few nice molded details on a couple of antennas, a couple of joysticks. Not really much going on the backside. So there's that piece, and I've messed that joke all up, calling it the Wii instead of the Switch. So here's his sidearm, a nice realistic looking weapon, probably a 1911, I would guess. I don't know that for a fact, but it's a very nice looking piece. Then he comes with two of these exploding devices, I guess. We'll just say it's mines because that's what it is. And they both have, where'd it go? There it is. They both have a post on the back, and then they both have this silver paint app on the top. Nice molded details in it. And again, there's two of those. Unfortunately, they both don't store, which is weird. So there's that. Something keeps making noise. So next up, let's take a look at his main piece of equipment, which is a metal detector or minesweeper, whatever you want to call it. It's got this nice bunch of color down here, and then again at the handle it's molded in this color, and it does have me bumping the camera, so it does have some nice molded details in there, and it does have this weird look to it instead of it being round, but I guess they're not round anymore. I don't know. I don't really engage in that hobby, so not that what he's doing is a hobby, but it's got, you know, a hose down here, and then this hose piece does attach to the post on the back of it. Next up, we have his backpack, which this is where one of the mines will sit. You can see it's got a port right there in the middle. It's got that nice blue around it. I guess it's blue. I'm colorblind. Don't make fun of handicapped people, just in case it's not the correct color. Then we've got, I'm thinking it's a tampo right there, and a little keyboard. So it's kind of like a computer screen. Maybe that's how he keeps track of where things are in, you know, when he's checking for mines. It's got this nice punch of color right there. It's molded in this color. And lots of nice little details in there, like this grid pattern, latches and pouches and all kinds of stuff. Even on this side, it's got some nice molded details. It's got a post right here that goes in the port on his back. It's got this piece right here that will hold the minesweeper, metal detector, whatever. And it's got this port with a post in it right here, which the hose connects into that, and that's how his main piece of equipment goes together. So let's take a look at McCloud, the robot. And it's got some nice treads on it. It's got these pieces here. They're glued in place. They do not move. So that's a cool little piece. It would be cool if it hooked to the backpack as well, but you know. So as far as the articulation on this piece, so the arm has a pretty good range on it. This joint right here just all around, and then this one goes like this as well. And then you can see it's got some red paint apps on there for where the cameras are, or maybe that's detection equipment, but I think it's a camera. And then it's got a handle right here for, you know, carrying it to where it needs to go. And then, oh yeah, this piece swivels around 360 degrees. So, well, that's a pretty cool little piece. And I would say a demolitions or an ordnance expert would need that kind of thing. Next up, we have his, I like to call it his standard helmet, his classic helmet. It's got a nice bit of color right there, and then across here, and then here on the strap, or maybe, yeah, because it looks like it's molded in this green. Looks green to me. Don't make fun of handicap people. So, you know, nice classic looking piece. The other helmet he has is for dealing with, I guess he's trying to defuse live ordnance. And, you know, it's got a nice bit right there, and then blacked out. So I guess he could weld in this as well if he wanted to. So there's no translucency to that piece at all. And then it's got a nice bit of color right there. Then he comes with a couple of armor collar pieces, I guess. So here's a smaller one. And here is a larger one. And I'm guessing they work in conjunction with each other. I don't know exactly how they go together, but we'll figure it out in just a minute. And then here is his other flak jacket. It's pretty much the same as the one he has on, except it's got a bit of color on it that the other one doesn't, and these pieces here sticking up. And then he doesn't have all the pouches and stuff on it. Another couple of bits of color there, but it does have a port in it for backpack stuff. And unlike most of Classified series, this is made to be removed, just like the one he's wearing. And this is how, you know, it's got two like mushroom posts here and then two ports on this side, and it's like that on the other side. And the one that he's wearing is similar as well. So one of the few Joes you can get the piece off if you want to. And the armor piece, the crotch armor, sticks further down on that one. So I'm assuming that one is the one for ordnance disposal, the one that comes on the figure. Now let's take a look at the figure, and I have to say that I think they did a good job with the head sculpt and the deco on there. Eyes look, well, is one of them off? No, they're even. Eyebrows, hair. It's got a little bit of color for his lips. Might be a little bit, yeah, I think there's some on the face too. So definitely the inkjet stuff going on here. So he's got these two shoulder overlays which can slide down the figure. This again, I think, is the ordnance disposal vest. It looks a little more armored than the other piece, and he's got all kinds of little bags and stuff here for tools. So that's how it looks on the back side. He's got a tampo right here. Is there one on the other side? No. So pretty cool looking. His gloves or gauntlets or whatever, they really do remind me of, you know, that original Real American Hero figure. The overlay here's got some color on it right here around the belt area. And then he's got these two thigh pieces. I'm assuming it's a bit of armor, but you know, it's also got loops for storage, or it looks that way anyway. And then he's got the holster on this side for his sidearm. And then, you know, the boots, they really remind me of the classic figure as well. So let's take a look at his articulation. He can look up that high, not much. He can look down that low. He's got some chicken neck. He's got waggle, not much attitude though. He can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, there's a butterfly. It goes back that far. It goes forward that far. And he can raise his arm up approximately 90 degrees. This is overlay affects the butterfly just a little bit, but not terribly bad. And it really doesn't seem like it hinders him raising his arm up there at the shoulder. There's a cut at the upper bicep, 360 degrees of rotation there. At the elbow, it's a double hinged pinless elbow, and it gives him that much bend, so that's pretty good. 360 degrees of rotation at the wrist. It's a trigger finger hand. It's on an up and down hinge. The other hand is a trigger finger as well, and it also is on an up and down hinge. I really don't want to pull all of this off. Let's see if I can see what's under there. Well, I pulled it off anyway, or I pulled it loose anyway. Not the easiest to get back on there. So he's got that standard Marvel Legends style ab hinge in there, but he also has a half dumbbell or ball joint at the waist. And in this overlay, he doesn't lean back much. He leans forward about the same. He's got some hula in the waist, and he can spin 360 degrees there. Pull down hinge in the hips. They allow him that much of the split, so that's pretty good. The overlay gets in the way here a little bit, so he can kick forward about that far. But I don't, yeah, it's hindering it some. And then back about half the length of his own foot. There is a cut at the upper thigh, 360 degrees of rotation there. Double hinged pinless knee. And the overlay does ride up just a little bit to kind of get out of the way, but it is hindering it just slightly. It feels like maybe a little more than slightly, because this part of the knee should go further up, I would think. But with that overlay, that's about it. Then at the upper shin, there is a boot cut, 360 degrees worth of spin there. And then at the ankle, tilts down that far. He tilts up that far, or it tilts up that far. And it does have a pin for ankle rocker. Now, as far as, you know, all the armor pieces and stuff, I don't know exactly how these pieces fit, so I'm just kind of guessing. I want to say this one goes like this. I'm sure somebody can tell me in the comments if I got it wrong or not. I probably did. So I think that goes like that, and then I think this goes over it like that, and then you would put the heavy helmet on over that. So maybe I got that right, maybe it's wrong, I don't know. The inner collar may be wrong. This is right though, I'm pretty sure, and the way that fits. So that's, you know, kind of cool looking. Not a job I would want at all. So there's that. And I'm not going to swap the vests out. His other helmet, you just kind of have to work with it a little bit to get it in place and straight, and the chin strap proper. So there we have that. And his backpack, but we got one more thing to do before we put that on. So we got that all hooked up. Here is the ordnance piece, and it does just peg in there like that, and the sidearm just goes in the holster, and it fits in there really well. And so he's got that. Now, as far as storage for anything else, there really isn't any. He doesn't have a storage space that I know of for the remote control. He just has to hold that in his hand. and no storage for the other stuff. It would have been nice if they gave him a little case to put his other bits and bobs in, the heavy ordnance disposal stuff. But I guess it is what it is. But there you have it, my friends. I'll look at the figure, his accessories, and some storage. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Tripwire with the G.I. Joe Classified Series Grunt and the G.I. Joe Classified Series Rock and Roll. Here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Tripwire with the Valaverse Action Force Swarm Trooper with Swarm Gear and the Valaverse Action Force Scarab. For our final set of comparisons, here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Deluxe Tripwire, how he compares up with some other lines. From the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee, our final G.I. Joe Classified Series comparison, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black Series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final ramblings on the G.I. Joe Classified Series Deluxe Tripwire, I have to say, I think this is a good version of that classic character. It does kind of have the hallmarks of the original one, the gauntlets and the boots, but it did come with different overlays, different helmets, that kind of stuff, to where he's not just a minesweeper anymore. He is a munitions expert, I suppose, and he defuses dangerous munitions in the field. Well, probably in buildings and stuff too. But anyway, I didn't never know he had a pet rat. The robot piece makes sense. I apologize about earlier where I messed up the Nintendo Switch joke and mistakenly called it a Wii controller. So I do think those are nice additions to it. The rat, it's okay. It's static, it's not posable. At that size, I really didn't expect much from it anyway. The hose can be a little stiff for posing, so something to be aware of. And the mushroom pegs and the ports in the chest armor, the chest overlay piece, don't work real great. I did heat up the ports to get the mushroom pegs in there pretty good, but it's slightly small on the figure, at least on one side, so you've got pegs that are stretching and eventually they're going to stretch out, come loose, or break. And it's a pretty malleable material, what that overlay is made out of. And as you can see, I did change it out for this last section because this is how I'm going to display him in his more classic look. I took the arm overlays off, and if you can see right as he's coming around now, on his upper shoulder there, he does have that tampo, the same thing that's on the armor overlay for that shoulder. So I like the updated stuff. I like the classic look much better. And like I said, how is right here, that's how he's going to go in the display. Now, as far as getting the thigh armor stuff off, you probably can. It looks a little tight at the bottoms, so you may have to use a little bit of heat in order to get that off. But if you take those off, then he does not have a holster for his sidearm, and that's a piece I really think that he needs. The other disappointing piece for this figure is the mines. You can't put both of them in his backpack. You know, like the old ones, you know, they had a very shallow port and a very low post on each of them where they would connect together, and you know, the bottom would go on the top and they would stick together, and then they could go, you could put multiples in his backpack. It was 2 or 3, I can't remember right offhand, but this one comes with 2, but they're not stackable, at least that I know of. Somebody knows a little trick to that maybe I missed. Please let me know down in the comments. But overall, I have to say this is a pretty good figure, and it's a nice mix of the classic and more updated stuff as well. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you were in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just to help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.